Began, we went to the Toyota National of Thunder Valley in Colorado, High Point in Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh, Redbud for the July 4th celebration, all the way east to the sand track at Southwick. And then we started heading to the other side, Spring Creek, Millville, Minnesota, Washougal, Washington. Had a brief break. Last week we resumed action at Unadilla in New York, which brings us here, about an hour outside of the nation's capital. It is the Geico Motorcycle Budds Creek National Lucas Oil Pro Motocross.
Challenging part of Budds Creek is that track, it's always pretty hot at Budds Creek. It's humid, it's down in a hole, you're not really getting any wind. I think between the roughness of the track and the heat there is very gnarly. Between the track itself and the heat, you're definitely gonna have a rough time there.
Yeah, the most challenging thing about Budds Creek is how many off-cambers there are. It's pretty much not a corner that's flat or has bank to it. It's all sliding off the side of a hill or very rutted and a hard base with slick traction. So it definitely takes a lot of bike control and making sure you're tight on the bike.
I think Budds Creek have a good layout. That's what makes Budds Creek great. The layout is so crazy, technical and difficult also, and it's a fun track to ride, but it's also a very, very demanding track with the weather. Every time it's very hot and humid, and that's hard on the body, but yeah, it's a cool track to ride for sure.
It's the Geico Motorcycle Budds Creek National. Welcome to Pro Motocross Fast Lap qualifying here on MAV TV. Round 10 of the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship, sanctioned by AMA Pro Racing. And yes, indeed, Jason Wygant joined by none other than the fastest man on the planet, James Stewart. You're back at the races, and Budds Creek, you got some great history here, so you've got to be pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be back. The fans have been awesome, and smelling that fuel. It's been a few years since I smelt it. I've been to one race since I retired, and
wow.
Now I'm back, so I get to join you and get to call some racing, so I'm excited to get this thing going.
Okay, we're going to start with our 250 class today. We know it's been the Lawrence Brothers show. What have you seen watching from home?
Well, actually been nice to see Joe Shimoda kind of find his own this offseason, well, this whole year. I think from what happened in the Supercross to get him out here, he's starting to believe that he can run with these guys. So, of course, it's been Jet and Hunter. They've been the two top guys. But now Justin Cooper starting to come back. Joe is finding his form, so it should be a good last three races, and it's going to start here pretty soon.
Yep, and let's throw another name in the contender ring today. It's Max Voland, who was our fast qualifier from the first session earlier. Let's send it down to Jason Thomas with Max.
Max Voland, really impressive time in that opening qualifying session. No, it's been getting better. Results have been coming, but that was really a step out. We haven't really seen you at the top of the timesheets. Did you feel better, or did you just kind of come together that time?
Yeah, kind of surprised myself. The way the track was pretty muddy and technical, and I honestly didn't even feel like I pushed that hard in the sprint lap. And yeah, I just felt like I nailed a few corners here and there, and it ended up just adding up to P1. I mean, it was really close for the top three, but yeah, I feel confident now, a little bit more extra confidence going into the day, and it's just try and keep the ball rolling, really.
So if there's one thing you feel like you've been missing so far that's going to get you up into that podium spot, is there something you really point to? Is it the bike? Is your confidence? Anything like that?
Mainly just getting off the gate. You hear it so many times over and over again, but if you get that start, it helps out so much, and especially with how close the top guys are. If you can start in front of them, you can, pretty much just go with the toe and just try and keep it up front. So I really just need to focus on starts today. I worked them this week, and I feel pretty good about it. So, yeah, it's going to be a good day.
Well, Max Voland off to a good start here and trying to keep the ball rolling.
And a pretty cool factoid, Max's dad, Talon, has won one of these races in his career. He was a great pro, and it was here at Budds Creek in 1999 where Talon Voland, Max's dad, took the victory. We'll see if Max can put it on the box today as we get ready for racing here at Budds Creek.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive. General Tire. For whatever you do, General Tire delivers. And by Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance.
So riders doing some practice starts here at Budds Creek. We'll show you what this facility is all about with the MX versus ATV Legends track map. James Stewart, what do you got?
Well, it's one of the best tracks of the year. You always get excited to come back to Budds Creek. They're in the little valley, so you got to watch the corners. They're a little off-cambered over here. You get some insides and outside ruts, but ultimately, like, the dirt's good. It's a perfect day, and it's time to get to work.
All right, we're excited about it, as qualifying will begin in just a moment, but we're celebrating the 50 years of champions in this series. So we'll put the bio together here on the legendary Mike Brown. He started his career at the Houston Supercross in 1990 and raced all the way to July of 2013. And in between, he became known as a racer's racer. Do whatever it takes, every man who the fans adore. In 2000, Mike Brown, bouncing around looking for rides again, lived in Europe, competing in the 125 class of MXGP, and finishing third behind eventual champion Grant Langston. But in 2001, the Tennessee native would come home and be back at odds again with Langston, competing for the AMA title against the 17-year-old defending champion, Travis Pastrana. Pastrana would suffer a series of hard falls at mid-season, leaving rivals Brown and Langston in a two-rider duel heading into the season finale in Pennsylvania. And after a Moto 1 win, Brown of Pro Circuit Kawasaki sat just 6 points behind Langston heading into the final Moto. But Brown went down off the start, leaving his teammate for the day, Ricky Carmichael, up front, with Langston in second and ready to clinch the title. Brown fought through the field, scratching for points, and then the rear wheel of Langston's KTM failed, giving the veteran from Tennessee the opening he needed to capture the championship. That 2001 season lives in lore as one of the most dramatic ever, but Brown had plenty more to do, racing at a high level for nearly a dozen more years. And then he turned to off-road racing, and now he trains the young 250 riders for KTM and Husqvarna. And even the kids will tell you, Brown is still as tough as they come. Mike Brown would compete for over 20 years in AMA competition, earning 16 moto wins, 64 podiums, and that famed 2001 title. Celebrating 50 years of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, and we've got some history being made this year. We'll show you the point standings in the 250 class coming into today's race. Jet Lawrence still about a moto up on the competition. And the competition actually comes from his brother. And then, James, you mentioned Joe Shimoda as you look at the standings here, but little rough for Jet last weekend, but the points still looking good.
Yeah, I think for him, that was the first big race of the year, besides that DNF earlier this year, but first time he actually made a mistake. And but it's been all year. His brother, whenever time he has a chance to capitalize, he hasn't been able to make it happen too much, but Jet's still the man.
All right, let's take us through what happened at Unadilla. Started with the battle of Nick Romano, and then he went down. Yeah, I think, just getting a little frustrated trying to race Nick right there, and then obviously he made a mistake and run into RJ, and RJ hits him again, and then this was the big one. This was the one that could have cost him a lot more. He did a good job at just getting out, losing the small points he did. And then this was the second moto, so not only did he have the first moto, it had some mistakes, and he had the second one. So I think a little bit today also. Oh, wait till you see this. Yeah, folks, this is from the first practice about an hour ago. Little O-jump right here, over-jump. But you know what he does. He's like, hey, fans, you want an autograph? What's up? I got donuts in my pocket. So he was all good. Obviously, this is the first lap. He's still waking up. So he'll get that all dialed in and get it going. Well, that'll wake you up for sure. Okay, so Jet's okay. And there's a Hunter's bike, the number 96 start practice, I believe, is complete now. We'll finally get some laps out on the racetrack. Jason Wygant, James Stewart, and Jason Thomas here to give you the coverage. MAV TV and MAV TV on FloRacing. Is there any ding of the confidence of Jet after a weekend like that, or is that an easy write-off? I mean, you see the kid right there laughing, shaking his hand. I think out of all the people out here, his whole attitude is just so relaxed. I think the kid just enjoys racing his motorcycle. So I think if something happens again this weekend, then I think the britches get a little tighter. But right now, I mean, it does help that you're racing your brother. It helps that he is blood, and you see him every day of the week. So I think he's pretty confident, and he knows if he just keeps it up, he'll be top 3 for sure. Although his brother's going to be strong. You have far East Coast Mr. Shimoda Joe coming up, and then Justin finding his form. So it's going to be some good racing for us, but he's still laughing, so he's pretty calm for right now. You actually were talking about that in our meeting earlier in the week about the camaraderie and how much these guys enjoyed the racing. And in your area, you guys were so darn serious with each other.
Yeah, no, me, Ricky, and Chad, we always joke around. It's like, yeah, I would never be caught around, playing video games around on the airplane. But these guys, they practice during the week, and I think it helps them. It helps them, keep up the pace and that intensity during the week. But it also hurts in the sense of, you know your competition. So for a guy like Jet being in the points lead and having these guys trying to close, it helps him. But ultimately, it's just a different age, and these guys, these kids, they go home and beat each other on Saturday and go home and play Xbox on Sunday. So just different.
Oh, yeah, it's the camaraderie, not just between the Lawrence brothers, but also at Shimoda. It's like they're best buds, and they're battling for wins every week.
Yeah.
We're underway. RJ Hampshire is going to be the first bike on track, the Rockstar Husqvarna. And Michael Moseman is back in action, missed Unadilla.
Yeah, I think they look like they put a little bit of water down, so it's going to be a little slippery. And as I was saying off air, I think this track's important to get an actually good gate pick. So these guys, you'll probably see them hone in on qualifying and trying to get a good lap. So you got to let the track kind of come in a little wet right now. So probably give these guys a couple of laps, and then you'll start seeing some heaters. Yeah, you were saying you think the beta drone cam showing it overhead. Gate pick a little more critical here than some of the other rounds. Yeah, it's a 180, so the inside, particularly you want to be on the inside, and especially in this 250 class where the power makes a big difference. So unless you're on the factory star racing bike, all these bikes are fast, but I think it's important for these guys to, if they want to try to win, you'll see the guys who plan on being up front today, you'll see them on top of it in the qualifying. So out of all the tracks, this is one of the ones that you have to focus on and actually take practice somewhat serious. Moseman going to triple up here. This is not a pass because it's just qualifying, but he wants to be in clean air. Yeah. It's frustrating for you, RJ, because you're like, I went out first, and I'm trying to get out there clean lap, and Moseman thinks he probably has some speed on him, so he wants to get up. Oh! And, yeah, there we go. RJ's like, you can have it, man. You want it that bad, just take it. Okay. Yeah, RJ's looking around now. Anybody else want to go here? Yeah, Michaels, he's just excited to be back. He's missed a couple of these things, so RJ is like, look, man, you can have this. So you can tell the guys who's feeling a little frisky, they get out front and they try to get that qualifying lap. So I think this is a good sign for Michael, even though he's always pretty notorious for trying to be up front in the practice, but I think it's a good sign for him, a little confidence to get out here. It's probably forgotten how fast Moseman was at the beginning of the year. He won the third moto of the season at Hangtown, and then he was leading the first moto the next week at High Point and crashed it away. The beginning of the year, you can make a case he was as fast as anybody, and it's really come unglued this some time, so trying to get that back. Yeah, it's hard when you get in this, and especially for a guy like Michael, like he came in saying that he wanted to win 5 races. Yes. So, and he started doing that. I think all of us was like, huh? But yeah, he started backing it up. So the hard part about this series and all in professional sports, but particularly motocross, is that it's week in and week out. So one mistake and a little injury, it nitpicks all year. You start snowballing, and I think that's what you saw with Michael. If you get on the roll and win, you can keep that going. If this is going the other way, you have that issue too. So it's good to see him back, and hopefully he can find that form. He looks pretty darn good right now. Looks good. Coming in. Yep. Yeah, I think he is. Again, you could tell by certain riders how they ride. They attack in the track, and I think the fact that Michael basically moved RJ out the way, get out my way, he was showing he means business. So we'll see how that, see how this lap goes. But I think he still needs maybe another lap or two before this track really gets in, but it's good that he's out there right now. Where you have the opposite of Mr. Jet Lawrence, real calm, cool. That's a guy with confidence. He ain't worried. He's like, I just need one lap to show y'all that I'm the fastest and get this done. Pierce Brown, that's teammate for Moseman of the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas Gas. He's tipped it over. It's okay. And this is the in-between. You got Michael's doing good, Jet's cruising, and then you got that part. So you don't want it. You want to be on the opposite ends, not in the middle. Watching Jet put it together here. Yeah. So you think just with the water or whatnot, it might be a lap or so before we really start getting good times? It starts slippery. The good thing with this track is it's not going to take long. You got 40 guys out there doing it. So the only part that looks a little slippery is like right here where Jet's going, a little icy, and I think that's where Moseman almost went down at. But yeah, you can tell Jet, he's trying to get a good lap in, but he's not pushing it. The track still needs to fall back in and get a little bit drier before he gets on there. So
So Honda leading the points in both classes coming in here to Redbud. For more on that, let's send it down to Jason Thomas.
So guys, I'm down here with Lars Lindstrom, Honda HRC team manager. Now I have 2 questions for you. First, can you shed any insight on what was going on with Hunter Lawrence's bike in that second moto? And second, what did you guys tell Jet Lawrence to calm him down after a chaotic weekend at Unadilla?
Well, yeah, last weekend, the best that we can understand is that it was some kind of rock or something in the brake pedal, which was causing him to feel like the engine was, slowing down. And obviously, any rider feels that. You're gonna shut the throttle down, because you going over a jump or something like that could be really dangerous. And as far as Jet goes, I think he had a little bit of a reality check there, where he didn't need to do, that. He was so fast in practice. I mean, he was 2 seconds faster than even the 450s. So maybe his confidence was extremely high. And yeah, like I said, this weekend, I think the track's going to be a little bit more fun and a little bit, easier to push on. And so I know Johnny O'Mara's had talks with him and his dad. So I can barely hear you, by the way. But yeah, no, today should be good. He's excited too. So I think we're going to see the same dominance we had from the other rounds. I'm expecting that.
Well, Lars is the voice of reason down here, and they get to press reset this weekend.
Pumpy's got some, JT, somebody else got your haircut, man. You and Lars, bro.
Well, hey, we roll together. We've known each other for a long time, and hey, I can't blame the guy. He wants to look like me. Who wouldn't?
I mean, come on, that's styling all day.
It is.
Look at him, looking good.
Between JT and Lars combined, they have 2 riders leading both classes. So good job of the management between those 2 combined, leading the points in both series right now, Honda.
Yeah, it reminds me of the 95 back in Steve Lamson and McGrath was the last time I seen that,
yeah.
the Honda get it.
JT.
Hey, when you guys get as old as we are, Lars and I, you have to look young. We're doing everything we can to hold on to that youth. So don't make fun of us. We're putting ourselves out there as it is.
I'm just glad you have hair to style.
Yeah, JT, you got to use my birth thing. I've been like 32 for like 4 years, so everybody's asking how old are you? I'm like, I think I'm still 32. Yeah, so keep
you're James Stewart. You can be as old as you want.
Appreciate that.
All right, there is Justin Cooper. We see Jet Lawrence going by him. Now, in qualifying, you always got to keep a look on Cooper because this is his specialty, and lo and behold, he's at the top of the charts. This is what Justin Cooper does week in and week out.
Yeah, I think it's important for him. He's starting to build the right momentum. Even that win at Washougal, the way he did it was like old Justin Cooper style. He looks in control, smooth. So last weekend, the first moto with him going down, I'm sure he was kicking himself in the butt. But then he backed it up second moto, so it's not surprising to see him. And I expect a lot from him, especially trying to be the captain of USA and get that 250 spot. I think he'd be good, and I look forward to him actually battling up front today.
Yeah, so they're going to announce Team USA today. It's pretty much clear that it's going to be Tomac and Sexton on the 450s. You have to be crazy to not put them on. The 250 spot up for grabs for come on strong lately. They'll announce the team at 12:30 today. And then we'll know who has that spot. But Cooper's definitely vying for it. And he's on top of the charts right now.
Well, it can go good for him in practice. If it ends and he has to announce it and they haven't chose it, well, he's looking good. Maybe after 145 might be a little different. But I think he's a solid pick. I mean, any of our guys I think would be fine. So looking forward to it. But they got business in hand right now and try to get this fast lap. And Justin's got it so far.
The cool thing about Motocross of Nations this year, by the way, it's not just Team USA. Team Australia has been announced. It has both Lawrence brothers on it. Your guy, Far East Joe, is going to be on the Japan team. So a lot of the riders we watch here will be competing against each other. Mosman's in the pit. But pretty cool. That's going to work out. Redbud's going to be familiar turf for a lot of the riders.
You might have to bring Kim Ashkenazi out
okay.
back in the day for Joe. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. That's when you see it, when the guys get excited, when they get a hometown race per se. It's in the USA, so that's going to be, Australia's going to be a strong team. I think they have some good riders over there racing that series down there too. So, have both Lawrence brothers, and that means, is Jet going to ride a 450?
Yes, Jet's going to make his 450 debut at the Nations end of September.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, a good track to do it on. I think Redbud to help him. It's not one of the hard pack tracks like Unadilla, so to help somewhat calm that bike down. And so it should be a good test for him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he actually wins that thing.
Oh boy, that would get some talk going for sure. To have Jet up there in the same race as Tomac and Sexton on a 450. But that's about 5 weeks from now. Focus, of course, is on this title. Justin Cooper's out of it as far as title contention this year because of an injury. He was struggling at the beginning of the year, but boy, has he picked it back up.
Yeah, he definitely has. And, you know, speaking of Jeff in the 450, I actually think he's probably thinking about it. You heard a couple of his interviews after the race where he was like, I decided to charge because I'm starting to focus on the 450. Yes. So that just shows me the guy's super confident, and, you know, he's super focused on this. Don't get that wrong. This championship's a big deal for him, especially if this is the last one. But, you know, as a racer, and especially being where Jet is, you always got to have goals and things to keep you pushing. So I think after last weekend, it brought him back, and he'll focus on, you probably won't hear that talk for a little bit, but I think that's just how confident he was. He was really focusing on that, and maybe it upset Cooper, and Cooper's trying to stop that, and like, I'm here, so figure it out.
Yeah, Cooper does not care. Actually, JT, we were talking about that during the week. Justin Cooper, there's a great love fest between Shimoda and the Lawrence brothers. Cooper's not a part of that. Cooper's out here on his own. He's not interested in the camaraderie. He wants to win races, JT. We've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah, I think, honestly, he's kind of in the J-Mart mindset where he does his own thing. I don't really ever see him hanging out with a lot of the other riders. So I think he's here to win. I don't think he cares who he's friends with or not friends with, and the results are all that matters.
Coming on strong right now, the fastest time is Cooper, Moseman, Hampshire. Lawrence, Jet is fourth, Shimoda fifth fastest, Hunter Lawrence sixth. And how about I'm going to try this, Guillem Ferez, I believe, the rider out of Spain. He is a fill-in for Star Racing because Nick Romano hurt his thumb during the week, and he is seventh fastest. Never raced in the U.S. before. Then Thrasher, Derek Kelly, Privateer doing great this year in the AEO Power Sports machine, and Mumford is 10th. Not bad.
It's amazing, like, what a bike and a team, like Star Racing, like, they have such a good program, 450 and 250. But especially this team right here, that you could take a guy that's never ridden, kind of a young kid, and bring him on, and I would say have the Chisholm effect on him. Like, you put him on the bike, he's winning heat races out there. So I think it's cool to have that kid come out here. It's obviously not much pressure on him, but, you know, as much as he puts on himself to do good, but it's a good track. Can't ask for one of the better ones to come. The heat might get to him. That might be the only negative for him, but overall, like, it's good to see him in the top 10.
So Cooper still on top. Yeah, that's Ferez there. You see 7th on the chart at 109. They have so many darn riders on that Star Racing team, but they're still missing a ton of them. Levi Kitchen not back from injury. Matt LeBlanc out with a broken collarbone, and then Romano, who was so fast last weekend, hurt his thumb. I think that could be it for his season. Might have to get surgery on that. So Cooper's flying the flag for the squad. We never saw Colt Nichols at all this year. He got hurt the very first heat race of the season in Supercross. Never made it back to the track.
Yeah. Now, what you saw, Justin, he just put a 157.2. That's fast. But what you also saw is with Budds Creek, it's important to get a start, and then as I say that, Jet Lawrence comes up and shows him.
Takes it away.
But Justin didn't have a clean lap. He had a lot of guys in front of him, and that's why I think this race is important for the start. It goes back to, you'll see the guys that's up here trying to win, focus on actually trying to get a good lap time because of that reason. And even Justin's, he's second, 157, but he didn't have a clean lap. So imagine in the race, you know, you get a 5th, 6th place starter, top 10, you have to deal with that, especially if a guy like Jet Lawrence gets out front. It just makes it a little difficult to pass. So the emphasis on getting a fast lap that was the point right there. So it's good to see.
There's Ferez, the young Spaniard. Quite a pickup for Star. What I heard is that he came over to the United States. He had a couple weekends off. He just wanted to come and watch a race. And then he reached out to them, and then they kind of admired his ambition, and they're going to give him a shot. I don't know if this is more than one race. Probably a lot of it depends on the result. If he goes out there and kills it, wouldn't be surprised for him to do a few more.
Well, he wanted to come watch it, so what does that mean? I'm here commentating. Can I get a bike?
Can you get a bike?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, like they're giving it out like that, so give me a bike.
Don't get people excited about James Stewart on a Star Racing 250. People start talking real fast about what would happen.
I might get interested to ride that thing again.
Oh, here we go.
Go back to Mike Brown days and go back to my 125, get on that.
Bobby Regan's going to be looking for your phone number. So Jet Lawrence, you heard Lars allude to, he was the fastest rider in qualifying last week by over 2 seconds, which is a much larger gap than we normally see. And Lars' comment was maybe he got a little too confident with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's where I was saying, like with Jet, I think last weekend was probably for him, it was a good thing. Probably for the competition, maybe not so, even though he lost points. Because what I think it did was put him back focused on this. And, you know, I think at one point, like as Lars alluded to, maybe he was getting a little confident. And I think that's when Nick Romano, 401 was in his way. He was getting frustrated, like, hey, like, what you doing, kid? You know who I am. And, you know, obviously it bit him. So maybe it was a little wake-up call. And if it is, unfortunately, that wake-up call is going to put a lot of other people night-night. So, but we'll see. We still got to go racing.
Yep. Yeah, he's definitely motivated today to try to reclaim this 250 class. We watched Pierce Brown. Remember, he went down earlier, stopped the mechanics area, has got it dialed back in. Shimoda up to third fastest now. Hampshire and Hunter Lawrence top 5. Mosman back to 6th. Thrasher, Volan, Ferez back to 9th. And there's Brown's time. He is 10th fastest in this 250 class at the moment.
Yeah, what you see also, Butts Creek's actually slippery, and especially right now. And what you got to watch in the first moto, it was like when they started throwing that water on that stuff, that hard base, what just happened to Pierce. It's actually a really hard base around here. So when you throw that water, you get used to like having this thick stuff, real thick, and like the start, you pick a tire to try to get off a start. This is one of the tracks that you would pick a tire for a start. But then you also have that water on there, and it's real slippery. So these guys got to watch it, especially that first lap. And you just saw what happened to Pierce. They can lose both ends pretty quickly. So
been a lot of talk about tires this year. The scoop tire with Dunlop, it's the MX-14, the sand tire. And the riders gambling on maybe better for the start, but then you got to manage it the rest of the lap. So we'll see what they pick today. And watching Brown picking his way through. Little mistake there in that rut, in that berm. And yeah, time has expired, so time's running out for anyone to top Lawrence. Go ahead.
Yeah, this would be a gamble. This is a track that I think you might have to look at the gamble.
Oh, we're going to send it down to JT. We got a special guest, trackside.
Hey guys, I'm down here with Juan with Moto Blocks X and Blocks Moto, and Kevin Moran's. Now, something pretty awesome. You know, we've seen all of these cool toys that you've been making. I see them on Instagram all the time and things. Now, Kevin, you got your own for this weekend, which I know you're excited about. Can you tell us a little bit about the motivation for this and how this kind of came together?
So long time ago, friends of mine, sends me a picture. I'm like, this looks cool. I want to try something like that. Looks fun. And then I wanted to spread the fun, right? Part of the fun is getting the little guys to the actual riders. So when I heard that Kevin was doing all the full AMA National Motocross, I was like, this is my hometown. I want to make one for him. And that's how we ended up here. I wanted to surprise him, and yesterday we were able to do that.
What'd you think when you saw it, Kevin?
I was stoked, because everybody always wants a toy of themselves. So to see it in real life, and the Moran's Mafia, the KM, the detail, Moran's 57 on the back, fly gear, everything like that. So everything's really cool. Even the packaging, it's outstanding. I couldn't be happier.
Weege, I want my own toy. How do I get this done?
I think you might have just made it happen right there. He sparked the idea. Yeah, there's tons of these. The guy does unbelievable stuff. Replicates photos, replicates videos. Has there been some JS7 stuff on that?
Well, there's been some, but okay. I got a head here and a toenail over there at my house. The kids, they smash them. They don't realize who Daddy is.
Oh,
so.
no.
Yeah.
You're just stepping on them now.
Yeah.
We'll show you some of the work that he puts together there at Blocks Moto X. Look at this.
Good
that is right awesome, dude. Yep. Oh, I got a little Chad Reed in that one.
Yeah.
And there's Ryan Dungey. He's replicating the cover photo of Racer X from a couple weeks ago. That's the billboard turn at High Point. Oh, no.
Oh, that did him dirty.
Oh, they got Malcolm from last weekend.
But that's the cool thing. We keep it authentic around here, so that's what happened.
And a knack from Ken Roxon from Blocks Moto X. Yeah, that's cool. And we got a podium here. Plessinger with the cowboy hat. That is phenomenal stuff. All right, we're going to go back to the serious business of real motorcycles and not just the toys. Jet Lawrence, your fast qualifier.
As you mentioned, Jet Lawrence, your fastest qualifier. Had a little bit of a back and forth there for the top spot between Justin Cooper and yourself. Now, last week we saw you as the fastest qualifier, and the day didn't really pan out how you hoped. What are you going to do to turn that around today?
I'm just going to go out and just do what I do best, is just go out, be smart. Last weekend was just it's the first kind of race that I had a bad race weekend, sorry. And hey, we're not perfect, we all make mistakes. So this weekend I'm going to go back to being Jet again, and just go out, get a good start, and then just see what the race brings me.
Well, Weege, this kid always impresses me with how wise he is beyond being a 19-year-old.
Yep, keeping that going. He is your Monster Energy fastest qualifier. What do you think, James? Can he get this solid today?
Yeah, I think they woke up the Giant again. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you could tell by his attitude. He means business. He didn't like what happened last week.
That's bad news potentially for everyone else. So Jet Lawrence, your Monster Energy Fast qualifier in the 250s, 450 qualifying coming up next.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal. The sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us, on the roads that unite us. Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to be the fuel that keeps you firing on all cylinders.
When performance matters most, the pros trust Crown Performance. Constructed from Teflon, Kevlar, and stainless steel, Crown Performance brake lines exceed all industry standards, will hold up against the harshest conditions, and provide ultimate stopping power, whether it's for the street or the track. We offer customized sizes and colors to fit any application. Visit crownperformance.com to learn more. crownperformance.com. crownperformance.com.
Go2 Bank, the ultimate banking app and debit card. Your go-to for exclusive perks like overdraft protection. Get paid up to 2 days early and no monthly fees with direct deposit. Open an account at go2bank.com.
Introducing the 2023 Beta RR off-road model lineup. Beta has the broadest model selection available, each with its own characteristics, as well as our trademark Italian design and rideability. Choose from a 125, 200, 250, or 300 two-stroke models, or a 350, 390, 430, or 480 four-stroke model. Learn more at betausa.com to locate a dealer near you. Go ahead, you deserve it.
Protect the Harvest was created to defend and preserve American freedoms and to support farmers, ranchers, outdoor enthusiasts, and animal owners. Protecting agriculture, protecting our rights, our traditions, our rural way of life. Protecting America. To get involved, please visit our Facebook page or protecttheharvest.com. Support us by donating today. Protect the Harvest is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation registered in Missouri.
You don't need the spark plug capable of delivering 10,000 horsepower. You probably don't need the plug that pushes a ton of steel 300 miles per hour. So you don't need the official spark plug of the NHRA. But there's a big difference between need and want. E3 Diamond Fire technology maximizes the fuel burn for more power at better fuel efficiency. E3 with Diamond Fire technology. What are you running?
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
Welcome back to Budds Creek as we continue to celebrate 50 years of champions in Pro Motocross. And in the long history of this series, perhaps no rider came from longer odds to win championships and live the American dream than South African Grant LANGSTON. South Africa's Grant LANGSTON began his pro career in the MXGP 125 class. He didn't have much support, but that didn't stop him from getting noticed and earning the World Championship in just his third season of competing. He quickly moved to America with KTM and came within a few minutes and one broken wheel of capturing the 2001 125 National Championship. LANGSTON was back in 2003, determined to win, and he outfoxed everyone, winning the crown with just a single moto win. LANGSTON would then add 2 125 Supercross titles to his mantle, and then it was time to move to the 450s. In his rookie year in 2007, he won a free-for-all title fight with 5 other riders. Series leader James Stewart got injured, and LANGSTON stepped up over the final 4 rounds to charge from 6th to 1st in the season standings. Just when his career seemed to be on the rise, LANGSTON was struck with a rare eye cancer. But showing the uncommon determination that led to multiple titles, he made it all the way back to the racetrack before more injuries sent him to the sidelines for good. Grant continues to give back to the sport that made him. Grant and his family opened LANGSTON Motorsports,
a multi-line dealership ingrained in Southern California's off-road culture. Always a popular rider when talking into a microphone, Grant took the giant leap and became my broadcast partner on AMA Motocross beginning in 2014. For nearly 10 years, his honest analysis and unfiltered personality endeared him to fans and gave us all some of our best television memories.
Yeah, there's the GL bio. Hopefully he's watching right now. You had some battles at GL back in the day.
The Zulu Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Always good times with Grant. I'll go hang out with him when we're out at Pala. He still lives out there in California for our finale. Yeah, that's your era right there. We're talking about Brown today. We're talking about Langston as we get ready for today's action. And, man, it doesn't get much better than this, having the championship this close. Well, you guys did me dirty. Why is that the picture that you chose?
I mean, it looks a little rough. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I don't know what Jason. I mean, you talking clearly.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I do.
But yeah, he shaved it down a little bit.
Bro, I'm just letting you know you can't trust these people in
you
this
got
truck.
one of them JT haircuts and shave it down. That's what you needed right there.
That would have fixed all of it.
Yeah.
All right, so as I mentioned, the championship is so good, so close. 1 point between Sexton and Tomac. So we want your opinion on this. Who will leave today with the points lead? Go to the @ProMotocross Instagram story, and we've got the poll up right now. So you vote Sexton versus Tomac. Essentially, whoever wins the race today will leave as the points leader. So who do you think will be the points leader? I'm not going to put you on the spot here, James. We'll let the fans vote. Sexton from the first practice, couple issues.
Yeah, Jay's right here. It's obviously trying to get around a lapper out there. But not too bad. A little frustrated, but not too bad.
This one.
This was the close one. He gets a little head shake right here, and that could have been really bad. In 2013, my dad was standing there. Luckily, he don't have to worry about Big J there, but that could have been pretty bad. And I think if that happens in the race, those ruts get a little deeper, it'll be rougher, and that could be a big issue. So he's coming in the same section right now, and it looks like he's going in the same line, just a little slower. So like they cleaned it up a little bit.
And there's your qualifying times from the first session earlier today. Tomac getting the edge on Sexton there. This is a big one because Sexton has absolutely taken the momentum and the points lead in the series. So Tomac has to answer back today.
Yeah, I think it's important for Eli to get back. You know, he is a 3-time champion. We were talking about Eli Tomac. So even if the chance is slim, it's a chance, and I don't think the chances are slim at all. I think he's going to come out here and put up some fight, but he's going to have to. You got a young Chase Sexton, a little cocky in a good way. I think he's starting to feel it, and he's growing into the rider that we all believe he can be. So I think it's up to Eli to try to stop that. Otherwise, it'll be a little tougher on him. So we'll see what happens. But just as in the 250 class, they put a little bit of water down. So you'll see, again, these first couple laps, this track's going to have to try to break in, and then these guys will really start honing in.
Sexton did win last week at Unadilla and won big. He caught and passed Tomac in both motos. You don't see that very often. But there were a couple close calls. We had the save of the week on Racer X where he almost landed on the front wheel, almost tucked the front.
Yeah, he's had a couple of them this year. And usually as a racer, you know, they can be not so much, maybe you don't catch it on TV, but it's those fast ones, just like he just had that replay we showed. Those are the ones that keep you up at night. Those are the ones that ends the championship. But Chase is, I mean, he's smart. You gotta have some kind of luck that's involved in this, and I think he'll be fine. But he's had a couple close ones that could have been a whole different thing, but it hasn't happened, and he has the red plate, and the guys are chasing him now. So.
Yeah, that's true. So now it's up to Tomac to answer, and that's really the question. Was that a Unadilla thing where Sexton was comfortable and Tomac was not? Or has Sexton gone to a level that Tomac cannot get to? And that's really what makes today so pivotal. Was it just a Unadilla thing or not?
Well, I think there's a little bit of both. You know, Unadilla was set up. Chase rode good. Eli obviously doesn't like that track. But if you start backing up since Millville, you put 5 seconds plus on Chase. Chase could have easily won the last 6 races in a row. It started at Millville, you know, and Tomac got both those motos, but it was close. There was a battle, especially that second moto. And then you get to watch Shugo, and where Chase got that second moto overall, and then last weekend. So I would say it's a little bit of both. Unadilla was obviously Chase's best race, I would say, out of anybody, including Eli, as far as making a statement. And, you know, so a little bit of Unadilla. little bit of what Chase the momentum's got going on. But I will say this. Unadilla and Washougal set up for the way Chase loves to ride. I think it's even more set up the way his shock is and his bike set up, because we talked about it all year, that BFL shock, and the way Chase's bike is set up is a little lower in the rear compared to like Tomac. So a track like Unadilla high speed, that's going to help him. And this track, just like that head shake he just had, those are the things that I think might be a little bit more come to fruition this weekend. Having a little bit lower might not be as good, and especially with the ruts and being slippery. So we got to pay attention to how the track kind of evolves, how that is, because definitely the last 2 races has been set up for the way he rides and the way his bike's set up. I would say it's been good for that. This is back to the traditional deep motocross, or it's really off camber, so maybe not necessarily having a bike that's lower in the rear. You're losing some traction, as we've seen him happen these couple laps that we just saw. Those might come out, so we'll have to see how that plays and if they make any changes to the motorcycle. So,
speaking of the bike setup and the differences between the Honda and the Yamaha, Jason Wagon and I spoke with Dylan Ferrandis last night specifically about Unadilla, and I was trying to get to the bottom of it because I could see how unhappy Eli Tomac was last weekend. And Ferrandis was pretty transparent, telling us that the Yamaha really doesn't suit Unadilla at all. So he wasn't surprised to see Eli Tomac struggle last week. He thought that things would really turn around this weekend. So I always find it interesting when the riders actually tell us things and don't go into this rider speak mode. And yeah, I think there may be something to the Unadilla, the Honda just working there. So we'll see if that plays out today.
That's right. Yeah, he pointed out how Roczen has been so dominant in the past years. They've won the last 6 straight motos at that track. Hondas have.
Yeah, I think Honda's obviously, their bikes are getting better and better every year, and I think Ken and Chase are on the same somewhat setup now. And I actually thought all the bikes looked pretty good. I mean, even the Kawasaki, the Husqvarna, the KTM. I just think the Yamaha, what makes it good in certain areas, it hurts it in others. And I think Yamaha is the one bike that's quite a bit different than others. So Unadilla, having the way the center of the mass is on the Yamaha, a slippery track, a track that you need traction on both front and rear, it makes sense why maybe the Yamaha is not the best there. It's not bad at all. And I think the reason Ferrandis said something, because he's out of the points. I mean, if he would have been in the points, he probably wouldn't have said that. But, when either you're retired or you're not in the points, okay, then you start telling the truth. But it looked like that. But I definitely think this weekend's going to be different. And if you go back to the way the races where Eli was really strong, it's more on this type of track, a track that has corners, ruts, and things like that. The soil's a little bit looser. So we'll see. And no excuses today. He's going to have to get it done no matter what it is. Shock, BFR, no shock. He's going to have to get it done. So,
yeah, he needs to get the momentum back. Look at this. Roczen has jumped to the top. It was actually Joey Savacci had the fast qualifying time in the first session. That's the 3rd place spot you see now. Sexton has gone under that, and now Roczen has gone under Sexton's time. So it's Ken Roczen, fastest rider at the moment with a 1:56.8, and we'll see if Tomac, currently sits 4th, can match that.
Yeah, from what I see from practice, we're talking about bike setup. We'll talk about this a little bit. Is when you watch Tomac and you watch Chase, what I notice is that when Chase is coming out the corner, like he's losing the rear end a little bit more than Tomac, and I think that's again back to the BFR shock, the way that his shock's a little bit lower than Tomac, and you just pay attention, especially exits here. It's like when Chase comes out, he's climbing back over the front end, like the rear's dropped down and is squatted, and he's trying to climb back over. Where you see Tomac, his corners are more put together. It's a little bit easier for him to lean the bike over, and it's one complete turn. So I think that's something to pay attention. It'd be interesting to see how the track plays out. But some of these corners that has the hook back into them, I think that would benefit Tomac, and just from what it looks like in practice and from that time, it makes a little sense right there.
He just went to the top. He got around Tony Caroli, by the way. He's back in action today in the Red Bull KTM. There he is, the 222. So good to get him back. Rode the first couple of rounds with us, the 9-time world champ out of Italy. Tweaked his knee a bit at High Point. I think went home to get a little more prepared. Didn't quite come in at 100% prep, even at the opening round, so we'll see how he does today.
Yeah, I like Tony, man. He's a good guy, and the guy can ride a motorcycle. I don't care how he finishes. That guy's a bad dude. But I was saying, like, when he came over here, he was like, I'm happy to go to Disney World until he showed up, and it was hot. A lot of people in lines. The lines are 2 hours long, and he was probably looking back and that little rider go down right
That's
here.
That's Moran's, actually, but I saw him getting back to the bike, luckily.
I want to make sure that bike, the little toy, we got to set it up for that.
Yeah, that's going to be a scene on Instagram. Let's send it back to JT.
Well, guys, you guys remember the last time Tony Cairoli was at this racetrack was at the Motocross of Nations in 2007, and I've been waiting. I've had this joke locked and loaded all week. If he gets a bad start, I'm going to ask him if it felt like 2007 where he was mired mid-pack all day again.
JT is such a USA front runner. He takes any attempt at being an unbiased journalist. As soon as it becomes Motocross of Nations talk, he is carrying the flag for Team USA.
He's got to have it. I mean, he's just representing and telling the truth. We're just giving the people the truth. That's the truth was he was in there. And I remember little Ray had another RV. I had troubles with them R's, man. RD, RV, RC. I lose sleep over that. So, the little RV, he was pretty good at that day.
Yeah, there was no doubt. That Nations, that was a Filippo stomp fest on everybody else. You see Anderson cruising around just up ahead of Cairoli. There's Tomac. So we'll see what Cairoli's level of prep is now. He is somewhat retired. He announced his retirement from full-time racing, but lo and behold, he showed up for a couple races this year, and he will be racing Motocross of Nations with a #1 plate for Italy this year because they won the event last year.
Yeah.
Watch Anderson now.
Yeah.
He's about to go.
Jason, he's been the 3rd best guy of the year so far, and I know some people, they like that, but Jason's not that type. And I really do think for him, he's probably getting frustrated with that. And that corner maybe shows why he's a little frustrated, making those mistakes. But I know Jason wants more. I know he would like to get another win before this season. But unfortunately for him, those 2 guys that's in front of him, they're on a different level or different intensity. And even though Jason's trying, he's probably getting frustrated. So we'll see if he can get it done today. And so far, not too bad, but
yeah, we'll see if he can get that. Yeah, it's like he got it right. He got a couple podiums in a row.
Nice corner.
There you go. And yeah, as JT's been mentioned down the podium, now the thirds aren't feeling so good after he's gotten a couple of them in a row. There's Savacci. Remember, Savacci was fastest in the first qualifying session. So he's got some pace today.
Yeah, this is one of the tracks, I think, for Jason, the way he rides. As you see him, he's slamming into a lot of things as you're right there. Foot off, both feet off in both of the corners. And maybe necessarily like you have to kind of calm down. And even the way Eli rides, he hooks his legs on the bike. You know, he's charging, but he's able to use his legs to soak up some of the corners so he doesn't get that pop back. And then obviously we know with Chase, he's very smooth. With Jason, you know, he's old school, man. He just slams it in there, and then it looks cool to watch, but not necessarily as you've seen on some of these corners. Sometimes it makes it a little hard, and he gets a hook back and kind of blows his corner. So I don't know how good this lap's going to be. He's made a few mistakes, but we'll see.
I can never tell sometimes with Anderson what's on purpose and what's mistakes. Even when he's smooth for him, it still looks like he's hanging it out.
Yeah, some people, I
like
know that. Yeah, that probably wasn't on purpose.
Okay,
but
all right.
Some people like Jason, I'm sure, just like Barsha, sometimes the feet off makes them feel good, like as they're doing something. So I think a part of that, as you just said, Jason, it might be on purpose. And yeah, he's about 2 seconds, almost second half off Roxon. Roxon 55. Wow.
Oh, let's break down this guy. Let's put you on the spot here. Here's your brother.
It's out. The fever's back. Yeah. Malcolm, he's back. We just keep it like that. He's trying to figure out. And I didn't realize last time he raced here, he was taking me out.
Okay.
Yeah. You probably call that one too. Yeah, he took me out like back in 10th. I'm like, he's like, I didn't see you. I'm like, bro, I'm the only one on the Suzuki. I'm yelling at you all race long. How you didn't see me? Okay. So he's like, I thought you were Brock Tickle. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so.
All right. That's pretty good. We did have a chance to ask Malcolm about, the influence of you. This should be interesting.
What have I learned from my brother in his whole career? Man, that's a whole nother interview for that one. But no, just learning a lot of great techniques from him. You know, he's always been a really good starter. His technique's been his speed in the whoops, his creative lines of racing, and a lot. I feel that. You know, when you ride with somebody, you start riding with fast people, you start adapting their lines, you start just seeing things different. And also, too, I believe that a lot of the racing is about confidence. You know, when you feel that you're fit, you're ready, that there's nothing that can hold you back. I mean, it brings nothing but pure confidence. So I feel like it's something that as a rider, you have to just adapt to. So, but I guess the first things first is getting up to start and running with the guys, and that's the first thing. And once you learn to run with them, you start to gain that confidence.
Malcolm's first race back last week. I'm glad he got here just in time for you to be in the booth.
Yeah.
So we can put you on the spot every week.
No, I'm glad he said what he said, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of the stuff that with Malcolm, you know, the way we practice, it was always I let him go out front and I try to blow his doors off. So, you know, I don't know how much he really learned because I was using him as bait, you know, all that. But it was more about when that 2016 in the championship, when he talks about confidence, I will say, I talked to him a lot about just believing in whatever you were going to do. Like whether, you know, you go in there like this weekend, if he's going there and he's trying to get top 10, believe that. Like believe in, try to accomplish what you're trying to do. And I think Malcolm right now, what you see is a rider that's lacking that. And it's been hard for him, especially since he's came back. He's in like an insecurity of not knowing what the motorcycle is going to do. And like I said, the last time he's been here, it's been years. So you can even tell during that interview, he's unsure of like what's going on. And so as the confidence and as I talked to him during the week, it's about, bro, like just be you. Like whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. You just gotta believe and just be confident in whatever your program is and try to find that like he did in Supercross. So hopefully, I think today should be better than last weekend at Unadilla. Unadilla is a slippery. It's unknown for everyone, and that's a hard one to come back to. So he should be better today.
Yeah, we'll see how Malcolm does. Ended up. I'm trying to find him on the darn list. There was a 16th in this session. No, maybe we'll just leave. Yeah, maybe we'll leave that out. Yeah. We'll just focus on Ken Roxon, who's fastest.
Talked about TV.
Okay. Yeah. Today's television schedule will start motos at 1 o'clock Eastern. 4 straight hours of coverage on MAV TV. You can watch MAV TV on FloRacing. And then James and I will host our post-race show, which will air Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. That is on MAV TV. It's the Geico Budds Creek National. Qualifying is a wrap. And Roxon ended up going into the 155s to hold the top qualifying time. And Tony Caroli ends up second fastest.
Wow.
We got a contender. We'll be right back.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. With a nationwide network of parts and care, Napa helps you get up and go. Honda, celebrating 50 years of off-road dominance. And by Lucas Oil. Keep that engine alive.
So Ken Roxon at a 156. A couple other riders threatened that time, and he went into the 155s to become your Monster Energy Fast Lap qualifier here. It's a wrap from the 450 seated session from Budds Creek. We're back with Motos at 1, but first let's catch up with Ken Roxon here. Jason Thomas.
Ken Roxon, that's 2 for 2. You were our fastest qualifier last weekend as well. What do you think is going to be a little bit different today? Try to get the results back up. I know it's been a little bit, more of a struggle than you'd like, but I mean, the pace is there, obviously.
Yeah, the pace is there. I'm honestly just trying to work on myself and get some consistency in. My starts haven't been that great either, and this track today is super tricky. We've been a lot of riders on the track right now, and it's really hard. I think it's going to be really hard to pass, and we got a lot of off cambers, a lot of downhills, so it's very technical. We have some really hard spots, like right before the finish line jump, that is going to be super tricky. But honestly, this is what is it, round 10 or something like that. I'm just going to, try it again, get myself back on the podium. That's the goal, and it hasn't really been there. But I want to continue work on myself and not palm my head into the ground and just focus, get some good starts, and grind it out to the end.
Well, the results may not be exactly what he's wanting, but he can still go fast, Weech.
No doubt about that. All season long, I've had a chance to sit next to motocross legends who have served as our expert analyst on the broadcast all year long on MAV TV. And these riders have a history that goes back through all 5 decades of AMA competition.
I was such a fan as a young kid of the sport, so I grew up at it, when the sport was really in its infancy, and got to see a lot of the European riders when I was in the single digits, 8, 9 years old, watching the European riders come over here and really debut and showcase the sport of motocross. And so for me, became a fan at a very young age, and then as I progressed, started riding myself, started racing, and then had quite a bit of success early on, so it was kind of fun for me. And I grew up in what I would consider the best era, the golden era.
I think the 80s put the stamp on because we had Supercross and the technology caught up to Supercross. And so when that happened, I feel that I was in the golden era because the bikes became better than the riders, and it's continued to go on. The bikes are so fast now, but in the 80s, the bikes caught up with the riders' ability and strength and then surpassed it.
You know, I mean, I just always say I'm so lucky to be able to be a racer in the 90s. I mean, it's luck that it worked out that way. I was lucky to be able to create an atmosphere that people were drawn to and could watch and be part of that. I'm so proud of these athletes today that are out here. This is a tough job, but growing up in the 90s is something I wouldn't replace.
You know, when I look back in my era of competition, I just go to the numbers. You know, you look at James Stewart, Chad Reed, Kevin Windham, Steve Lampson, multi-time champions that I had the opportunity to race and get the best of them. Not to talk bad about the guys before me because they were definitely animals and strong, and those are the guys that I look up to that laid the foundation for me and who I wanted to be. But man, I got to race against some great guys.
The older I get, the longer I've been retired, you go back and you see old photos of Redbud, let's say, and the fence line just lined with people, you know, and you know, first, second, or third, you're on the podium, but to see that and to feel that, the energy, you know, those are what I miss from the racing side of it.
As a kid growing up, the only thing I cared about was pro motocross. I think it kind of shows in my career. I just love the great outdoors. Watching, like, you know, Ricky Carmichael, Bob Hanna, and all the guys that you've seen on the broadcast this year racing. It's an honor to be a champion, and when I held that championship trophy, to see the names on that deal, just that day alone when I successfully got the championship was man, it brought you chills for sure.
It's been a fun ride celebrating the last 50 years, but who will be the champion this year? Well, it starts with leading the points, leaving this race. You can vote. Go to @ProMotocross Instagram story. And right now, a little edge. Fans are giving Tomac a slight edge. And he's 1 point behind.
Yeah,
how about that?
He's a champ.
All right. And that speaks volumes. And we'll be speaking again later today. James Stewart, Jason Thomas, and myself, Jason Wygant, will be back 1 o'clock on MAV TV for 4 straight hours of coverage on the Geico Budds Creek National. See you then.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal. The sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us, on roads that unite us. Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to be the fuel that keeps you firing on all cylinders.
When performance matters most, the pros trust Crown Performance. Constructed from Teflon, Kevlar, and stainless steel, Crown Performance brake lines exceed all industry standards, will hold up against the harshest conditions, and provide ultimate stopping power, whether it's for the street or the track. We offer customized sizes and colors to fit any application. Visit crownperformance.com to learn more. crownperformance.com. crownperformance.com.
Go2Bank, the ultimate banking app and debit card. Your go